investment portfolio update, February 2023. This is the allocation, so the monthly newsletter, the monthly YouTube video that we do on our allocation of our family office of portfolio that I've been running for the last 10 years. And we've been very successful with this. And I think the biggest thing is because of true asset diversification. And there's the sayings of, put your eggs in a basket and then watch them closely, which I agree with. That is an important thing to do, to watch things very closely. However, as you're going to see, there's a number of assets that are kind of dumb money assets, and they just kind of sit there. And you'll see this as we go into it. And so just watch carefully. This is super important because I truly believe people get into this, we're going to day trade, we're going to do hedges and puts and calls and all things. And I believe in hedges, absolutely, as you're going to see here in the portfolio, but not what you might think they mean. This is why this is very important to watch this whole video. And because this is truly a dumb man's portfolio. And again, you're going to see a part of it that's not, and a part of it that is. A good chunk of it is just a dumb man's portfolio. And it's done very well, and it's going to continue. It's going to do even better. I mean, we've continually doubled our portfolio basically probably every other year in net worth, but it's going to continue. It's going to exponentially go up, hockey curve, because of the way we set it up. And true diversification. Robert Kiyosaki always says you have to be diversified. And people think, well, I'm in stocks and bonds and ETFs and different, I'm in Kraft and I'm in Apple and I'm in Facebook and I've got a bunch of different stocks. That's not true diversification. That's only one asset class. That's the paper asset class. Life insurance, bonds, stocks, ETFs, pensions, 401ks, all those different things are all the same thing. It's all paper assets denominated in dollars. You have to be very, very careful. So this is a very important letter because I'm just going to kind of break it down. You're going to see, I'm not giving you dollar amounts in dollar terms, but I'm going to give you the allocation. You're going to see, if you do a little homework, that the portfolio has done very well, obviously, over the last 10 years. Since I left professional hockey and getting into the world of money, business and investing, and building businesses and managing our portfolio. This is what I've been doing, and it all hinges back to studying money. And this is what a lot of our monthly letters are about, is understanding money. What is money? Because it's very hard to make money when you don't understand what it is. It eludes your grasp when you don't understand what it is. So the trifecta, this is one of the most important things as well. The three things to watch for in the market are oil prices, the 10-year treasury yield, and the DXY, which is a relative strength of the dollar. So those three things. It really, not in that order. It's probably the 10-year treasury yield, and then in the Dixie, those two things people can make arguments for both things, and then oil prices. So these are the bellwether of the economy. You know exactly what's going on if you watch these indicators. The stock market is derived from this, not the other way around. Most people watch the stock market and don't realize that the credit market the bond market is the biggest market in the world and drives the train. So we have to understand that. The credit markets are hundreds of trillions of dollars. In the stock market, I believe, I think it's the US, is probably about $40 to $50 trillion. So you can see, and again, even if it's global, I think it's probably not more than double that. It's probably 50 to 100 trillion, something like that. And again, don't believe what I'm saying. Do your homework, trust but verify, but it's somewhere in that ballpark. So you can see that the bond markets are much bigger, and they are what derives the train, and everything is derived from that. Everything is a derivative of that. So this is one of my favorite memes of all time. This is the legacy financial system collapsing, sinking under the waves, I should say, not collapsing, but collapsing itself, but then it is sinking under the waves slowly. And it's the Titanic. It's slowly moving under the waves, and it takes decades. Each financial monetary system is usually 30, 40, 50 years. It takes a long time, and we're at that 50-year mark, and it takes a while. And it's tough when you have the biggest empire to ever exist. I played for the U.S. national team. I love America. I love its ideals. I love the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. I love them with all my heart, and truly believe that's the best system that humans have ever created. However, it is going down. Unfortunately, it's very sad. It's taken me 10 years to really fully grasp that and understand that, 12 years to fully grasp that and accept that. But when you do, you start to understand, I need to remove myself from the system. And this is general person, unfortunately. Are you crazy? The US dollar is going up relative to a couple other currencies, or down, but people say it's going up. Like right now, in the last number of months, it's been going up. And Bitcoin's much too volatile. I mean, look at you in that little boat out there, that little network, that little system off to the side, this new parallel thing out in this big ocean. And unfortunately, the Bitcoiners are out on that life raft and looking back at the Titanic, slowly slipping under the waves, and they can see it very clearly. It's very, very obvious when you just step away for a second and remove and unlearn the things that you've had to learn, and then relearn what's going on. And once you accept that and lower that hubris and start understanding that the system is completely built on a Ponzi and broken money, and the removal of God from life. And those two things, I go back in my head, what comes first? The removal of God from the public square, or the broken money? Which comes first? Is it God leaving and people driving God out, and then they have so much hubris that they just think they are everything, the center of the earth and the center of the universe revolves around them, and then they break the money? Or is it the broken money that leads to distorted outcomes? Then people think like, wow, okay, well, I'm doing all these amoral things to try to get a dollar and to try to make a paycheck, that then God leaves. So let me know your comments below what you think it is. Is it, again, if you don't believe in God, that's okay. It's do you think there's a higher being, a higher power that people are neglecting, and their hubris is too high now? They think they're the center of everything. So this is the culture war of our time. This is really the answer that we are all seeking, trying to figure out what it is. And I believe the wealth gap, it's God leaving the public square, people driving him out, and the breaking of the money, the central banks, the wealth inequality gap. This is the evil. That is the evil that is perpetuating society and driving all this. So this is my favorite meme, and we truly have problems. Houston, we have problems, and this is exactly what is going on because of the dollar. We've showed us 1,000 times the dollar just losing that value over the last 110 years since the creation of the Federal Reserve, and being destroyed. And why the same ranch home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch, or the same carton of eggs cost more and more of these dollars. You have to find more and more because they're devalued constantly every single day. Or Bitcoin, you constantly are accruing value over time, over 2-year, 4-year, 6-year, 8-year, 10-year spans, because it's less and less out there. There's less and less supply. It's more and more rare, unlike exactly opposite of the dollar or any fiat currency. So bond yields have continued dropping over the last few months. However, the last week or so, they've bounced back up again. So they were rising a lot last year. Obviously, we've been tracking that. And then over the last couple months, they've really been global liquidity being pushed into the market, and someone's been buying the bonds all over the place, right? The central banks, people have been buying them, dropping the yields. However, we've had some sell-off here over the last week or two. We've been checking that out on our daily market updates on our YouTube channel, so you can go there and kind of see us checking this trifecta basically every single day. So this article is basically around this trifecta, and then also our portfolio allocation here at the end. And the 10-year Treasury is the bellwether, like we said, and it's jumped up at 3.8. And when bond yields approach 4% and above, it's warning lights go up, and the really red flags are going up, and people need to be cautious and really be on high alert. Again, like I said, we will keep a close eye on this on our daily market updates on YouTube here. Go check those out. And we have our 5th generation stealth aircraft shooting down water balloons in the sky, while Epstein's client list and Nord Stream pipeline evidence is mounting that the U.S. aided in the destruction. And Murray Rothbard, 1776 here, has a great quote, and just, it fits our narrative, right? It fits our bias, it fits my bias, so it just clicked right away. I was like, yes, this is exactly what's going on. UFOs are distractions from Pfizer, the U.S. blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, big tech companies coordinating with the FBI, U.S. intel to censor Americans and influence elections, Epstein client list, deadly chemical release in East Palestine, Ohio, and all the other derailments and hazardous chemical spills, and the grid attacks going on, which we talked about a few months ago. There's more grid attacks, more rogue attacks, and things like that. And there's just things. Chicken factories being blown up, food factories being blown up over the last year or two. We live in clown world right now, and you have to prepare. And I honestly think, to the bottom of my heart, if you are so ignorant to not see what's going on and see all the things happening right now, to not prepare, buy some food storage, get some energy, figure out how your alternative energy sources, some water, Bitcoin, gold, silver, land, whatever it is, building your community, most importantly, and security, firearms, ammo, everything. Like, you better get prepared. We just did videos on Michigan State University, my alma mater, where I won a national championship. Very fortunate to play with awesome people, made so many amazing connections, and how that's being portrayed to strip away more of your gun rights, more of your ability to protect yourself. Never in human history have we had the ability to protect ourselves with our own money, with our own firearms, safety, security, with our own communication with Nostr. We just did a video on that as well. Nostr and Zion, decentralized social media built on Bitcoin that no one can censor. I mean, before, Genghis Khan just came in your village and just raped and pillaged everyone, just destroyed and killed everything, because you had no way to protect yourself. You had no firearms, you had no nothing. You couldn't do anything about it. You're at the whim of the invaders. Now we have that ability. Now an 80-year-old woman can protect herself against a 6'6", 300-pound man. We've never had that before. And government leaders are trying to strip those rights from you constantly, every single day. Gun-free zones are the zones that are attacked. The guy is said, apparently, and again, I didn't see him say it myself, right? But we have knowledge of him apparently saying, I came here, there's no reason other than it was a gun-free zone. And this is not the first time, and we continually go down this road. So not to get on a side tangent here, you can watch the other videos we did this week on some of these topics I just brought up. Just mind blowing. We have to have some flipping common sense. We have to step back and remove the emotion and start using common sense, or we're going to have massive problems. You're being distracted from the real games being played, just as we were 2,000 years ago in the Roman Colosseum. It's the money, stupid. They're breaking the money, clipping the coins down, debasing the money, melting it down, and stealing it from you. That's the distractions going on. Well, Super Bowl's on, UFOs, MGK, Megan Fox, look here, not there. Hence why we continually prepare here at the Reset. This is what we're constantly going to do. Question everything with boldness and ask why. We know that things are coming unglued. The law of polarity tells us that this also equals the greatest opportunity possible for those that are prepared going forward. This is the portfolio allocation. So it's moved a bit. Bitcoin's gone up a bunch. It went from 21% last month to 29% of the portfolio this month. Commodities here about 15%, and we don't have much stock. I don't like things we can't control right now, especially in hostile times, hostile governments. I just don't. There's no, making a 1% or a couple of percent dividend yield off something that I can't control. Who cares at the end of the day? This is why we have a ton of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin cumulative or compound annual growth rate is about 100 to 150% a year over the last 14 years. So I know if I just hold the hardest money to ever exist, I'm going to win at the end of the day. 33% in real estate, rental real estate. Again, thinking about, you'll see in a minute, but this is where I was saying this light blue part is the part that's, a little bit tougher. I mean, I've been doing real estate for 10 or 12 years, so that's the part that's the hardest probably for most people, and it's going to be a little more difficult. The business stuff, it's just business, cash and just, value of the business. But all this other stuff is fairly easy. I mean, anyone can start a business, truly. Anyone can do real estate too, but it just takes time and energy and effort, and same with the business as well. But as you can see, this is only about half our portfolio, a little less than half the portfolio, and most of it is in dumb money investments. It's just saving hard assets. It's saving in bank accounts in dollars, which is a liability technically, but it's short-term investment to say, hey, what's a dollar going to do? Maybe we can pick up some cheap assets here going forward. And then we have almost 45% in gold, silver, commodities, and other commodities, and Bitcoin. That's dumb money investment, and you don't have to do anything. It's just money. Gold and silver, Bitcoin. There's money. There's true money. They actually are stores of value. So we can just sit there and like, oh, hey, half our portfolio is very safe at the end of the day. It's very, very protected. So Bitcoin here, as we get into this, a little pop back since the beginning of the year, over 40%. And people want to, oh, it's down 70%, down 50%, whatever, and then they never say, like, I don't hear anything saying, oh, wow, it's up 30 or 40%. Again, this is just the price you pay for early network volatility. And as people come into the system, it'll be less and less volatile. But again, at the end of the day, one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. The economy is separate. Like I said, it's a separate lifeboat being built over here, and it's out floating away from the sinking Titanic, the legacy monetary system. If you're worried about the government crackdown, then you're admitting that you have no vote, and you can't change who's representing you. Game theory will play itself out, though. Why would I let my enemy get the benefits of the hardest asset and most powerful computer network to ever exist? So governments aren't going to do this forever. Even if they do for a couple of years, even if like the worst thing happens, they try to crack down. Okay, so you sit idly by and don't do anything for a couple of years, just go about your life, and then we vote in people that actually like Bitcoin and that say, hey, I understand the power of Bitcoin and what it's going to do for society and human civilization. I don't think that'll happen. I think people are smart enough to kind of actually realize what Bitcoin is and what it's going to do for humanity. They don't want that technology, that power to go into other people's hands. It's game theory. And again, remember, this is the alternative. If you don't believe that and you believe, governments are just going to crack down, I'm going to sit by and do nothing, that means you're also the ones going to say, hey, here, take my guns, here, take everything. I have no say in government. Our vote doesn't count. You can't vote in someone else who says, no, I shouldn't be forced to pay in a money that is counterfeited. I can pay and save in the money in Bitcoin that isn't. It's controlled by everyone and no one simultaneously. I don't want a dollar I have to save in that. I'm forced to save in that. That's just devalued every single day. That's unbelievable. So again, this is what happens. This minute-long clip of the FDIC admitting that bail-ins will happen, bailouts will happen too. The name of the game has already happened, and bail-ins will happen, just coming and taking dollars out of your bank accounts. This is what happens. You can't do this in Bitcoin. This is literally impossible. If you cold storage your Bitcoin, take it, you just copy and paste an address and send it to your USB, basically, right? I'm putting it in layman's terms. That's it. In 1 minute, you can take your Bitcoin off an exchange, the keys, and send it to your cold storage, and it's there forever, for infinity, for perpetuity, and no one can do anything about it. There's no quantum computing, all these things, all these objections. Again, Bitcoin is held to this standard that nothing else can compare to, right? No one questions the dollar like this. No one questions everyone thinks of every possible objection to Bitcoin, but yet no one questions the fiat system that's destroying them every day. No one questions them. It's just like, oh, it is what it is. But yet Bitcoin, it's like, oh, well, what about this? What about this? What if an asteroid hits the Earth? Are you kidding me? So get out of your own way. I had to do the same thing. We all have to do the same thing. This is your alternative, is these clowns, 30, 40 people, men and women at a table, sitting there telling you they're going to steal your time and energy. Now becoming evident also that Bitcoin stabilizes grids and actually cleans up the environment while using renewable energy more than any other source, according to some sources out there. And again, don't believe me. Go do your own research. These are just a few of the reasons I believe saving deflationary Bitcoin over inflationary fiat currencies. Because I want something that accrues purchasing power and rises in purchasing power over time, instead of something that loses purchasing power daily. Why hold a liability that people call an asset, a la the dollar, fiat currencies? So we have about 29% in Bitcoin, like I said before. And here again, here's the cold storage versus hot storage. Hot wallets are just things you might want to hold a little bit, just like a physical wallet on you, and your cold storage is your savings. So Blockstream Jades, Trezor, cold cards. I like the cold card and Blockstream Jade because they're just Bitcoin only and they're open source. Trezor is not Bitcoin only, but it's open source. So great retirement savings vehicles where you can hold 10, 20, 50 years, 100 years, pass down your children, and it's going to continually grow in value over time. Real estate, positive cash flowing rental real estate. The last refinance we have here is still taking a little time because of just changes in the market. Obviously, a lot of crazy things going on. A commercial loan is just, we have to jump through some hoops there. We're dealing with stuff with the tenant at the property. So a lot of hoops are jumping through. Hopefully that gets done here in the next couple months by spring. And we have our rental properties just in general, they're trying to stabilize. And again, these little issues coming up in here continually makes me think, why do I even have these properties? I'm just going to sell out of them and get into Bitcoin. Get into Bitcoin while the market is up, the real estate is up, and Bitcoin is down. Might be a great arbitrage play. I can't lie to you. So we have about 33% in rental real estate right now. So and again, remember the dollar is debt. Dollar is debt. So we have to remember that's why these hedges like real estate, shorting the dollar by buying real estate, buying Bitcoin, gold, silver, stuff like that are just unbelievable plays. Commodities, gold, silver, oil wells, uranium, copper, wheat, etc. Primary assets are always a safe bet. Not the paper derivatives, but buying the actual things like oil wells or physical gold and silver. Commodities, again, I do believe will be huge over the next couple decades because they are going to be short in supply and high on demand. We want primary assets, not tertiary assets, primary assets, the actual thing. And again, I'd rather diversify in the analog world a little bit, like you see 10 to 50% in this analog in case something terrible happens, like an asteroid hits the Earth and knocks every single last thing out. We have about 15% or so in that commodity sector. Paper. So paper is the thing we have the least of. Again, we're not going to have much in here until phase 2 kicks off and things become undervalued. And right now, we'll see here in a second why or how you can kind of tell quickly if stocks are undervalued or overvalued. I like buying when there's blood in the streets. You make money when you buy. And that goes for every asset class. And again, this is the dumb man's portfolio. Like I said, this has done so well. And it's going to continue. It's done very well the last 10 years, and it's going to do exponentially better in the coming years. And people in stocks, there's going to be tons of inflation. Stocks won't be able to keep up. The stocks and all this is going to get really demolished, and really already has over the last decade. Real estate and stocks have just gone flat against all central bank printing. If you put all central bank printing against stocks and real estate, is just sideways. People think, oh, it's gone up, everything's gone up. It hasn't. With the money or currency printing that's taking place, it's just gone sideways. Bitcoin is the only thing that's outrun all of it. And again, please see the prior couple investment letters here, and I actually linked to what phase 2 means for us, where we are going to lend against our assets, these insurance payouts, gold, silver, Bitcoin, and then go buy other cash flowing assets like real estate, stocks. And when this chart I'll show you when this flips. And again, we'd rather put in assets now that I can control that are bearer instruments in times of hostile governments. When the Fed does pivot, though, look out, because these risky assets probably will take off for a while in the NASDAQ and whatever. And I'm okay missing some of that. That's okay to me. About 2% in stocks. So this is really important. You have the gold to Dow ratio. And when this is historically down here below this line, you can kind of see this median line here in this area. If you draw a line through here, it's kind of, basically that median. Well, when it's below that, you can see that is generally a good time to buy. The meaning gold is more overvalued, stocks are undervalued comparatively to each other. But right now, you have gold is actually very undervalued compared to stocks. We're way up here in 20 right now. So it's near the highs. You can see the other times when this was like this, right? When stocks were overvalued, gold was undervalued. 2000, another great time. It's up at 40. This was from the dot-com bubble. Gold is down at 250 an ounce. Well, we're halfway to that in essence, right? Meaning gold, fairly priced, maybe should be at, if it was 250 then, I mean, it's double. So it would be, half, or I'm trying to think of how that would be now. Now I've just lost my train of thought. But anyway, you can see 20, being at 20, it's showing stocks are, basically half as overvalued as they were then, potentially. And we're just in this weird equilibrium. Or, I'm sorry, I'm losing my mind right now because it's a ratio. So you can see that here, gold has obviously risen, right? It's gone from 250 an ounce to 2,000. So this has risen where stocks are very overvalued. When you look at just stock metrics, it's there. Some of the charts you'll see say it's the most overvalued, even more than the 2000 era, right? But gold has also risen as well a fair amount, so it brings this ratio down. It's only down at 20, where in reality maybe it should be at 40 or 50 or 60 or something like that. However, because gold has risen a fair amount and been one of the best performers over the last 20 years, it's brought the ratio down a little bit. However, we need to see this below 5 really until we know, hey, it's a great time to dump out of gold, true money, and buy into stocks. Stocks can be the same price, but gold should be at least 4 times it. So it should be $8,000-$10,000 an ounce before we go into and get into stocks and trade that, sell that gold for stocks. So hopefully that makes sense. I know I confused it a little bit there, but this ratio, like I said, needs to be below 5, or gold could stay the same, and stocks need to drop by 75 or 80%. So then I'd be like, oh my gosh, wow. If stocks went down and the Dow was down from 30 and went down to, or whatever it is, 32 and went down to 8,000, I would be buying. I'd be backing up the Brinks truck. That would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing. So we have to see that. And people are like, whoa. Yeah, that's what's coming. This is what's coming, because this shows you historically what has happened. So it still has a long way to drop. I mean, look how far this has to drop. So again, gold either has to go up that much, means there's chaos, or the stocks need to come down that much, and that again means chaos. So we have some interesting times ahead of us. Cash and businesses. Sitting on dry powder, again, trying to raise more in other areas. This is so important right now. Again, this cash and being in cash and being in cash and hard money, Bitcoin, gold, and silver. These 4 things are going to drive everything going forward, to be very nimble, to be very liquid and agile, to be able to jump in and out of things if need be. I'm still cautiously looking to invest in private placements like multifamily and self-storage or mining operations for Bitcoin if proposals make sense. Good cash flowing positions where I know the management. Cash on hand is good in case our long-term view of inflation is wrong. If we experience massive deflation and the dollar increasing in strength, the Dixie, then we will be able to use the dry powder cash to buy even more assets, kind of like we just talked about in the Dow to gold ratio. 22% right now in cash. And this is true inflation. I always throw this in here, the update every single month, the true inflation numbers from John Williams, Shadow Stats. Again, the government's got about 6.5. But if you measure it in 1980 terms, before the government destroyed all of it, we're really about 14, 15%. So think about that. We're really about 2.5 to 3 times different from what the government's telling us. This is why people have this cognitive dissonance. They have this people are freaking out because the government's telling them one thing, and it's like, hey, believe us, don't believe what you're seeing. And they're like, I see something different though, like in my daily life, like my budget, everything. And they're like, no, things are good. The jobs are good. I mean, the press secretary is coming out and saying that, the White House, everyone, the Fed, like, oh no. That's why people freak out, because they're like, something, what is going on? And then they get mad at their neighbor, they road rage, they do whatever. I mean, it's not funny, but this is how these cycles work and how the empires begin to collapse. The conclusion at the end of the day, the Fed continues to slow rates, and we said that we thought they were going to lower about 0.25 or 25 basis points, and they did this past time, and yeah, I think they do that probably a couple more times, and then they just stop. And people probably look at that as, hey, we're turning, we're pivoting. So we'll see. So buckle up. And markets are jumping all over the place. They don't know how to take it. And the Fed is coming out with contradictory reports compared to the jobs actually being laid off and jobs being added. Inflation is the same as it was, basically the same as last month, but raging all over the world. Like in Argentina, 99%. So inflation is still really high. Don't get me wrong. They're still stealing 6% of your wealth. That the number is 6.5 or whatever it is. But inflation is 99% in Argentina. And you just look around the world to see what's happening. It's just clown world. Bond yields keep wanting to jump. Again, that's alarm signals and bells going off. Something doesn't smell right, so prepare accordingly. This is not the time to get fancy and shoot the moon. Stay in cash for deflation and picking up deals. Stay in Bitcoin for inflation debasement and protection. I only want to trade my finite time for finite assets, not trade my finite time for infinite pieces of paper or digits on a computer. Remember that. Make a fair trade for yourself, please. Stay strong. Stay strong. And again, I'm no expert. I'm constantly a student. This is what I'm doing every single day, and this is my process and what I go through. And I just want to update you guys on that, what we're doing and how we're doing. And this is freedom advice, not financial advice. So I appreciate you. Please share this with someone you might think would get something out of this or would appreciate this. I really appreciate that. Again, the algorithms aren't going to help people out talking about alternative narratives. So please, let's build this together. Let's get this out. The only way we can truly do that is that, again, the algorithms aren't going to do it for us. Getting truth and reality out, which will create a higher standard of living for all of us, actually having accountability and responsibility go up in truth, is by sharing this and building community together. So I appreciate you. Time is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is time. I appreciate you coming to my TED Talk, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.